To South America now, the results are in for the Colombian presidential elections. It has proven to be a tight race as predicted. Colombian President Santos will now face Ivan Zuluaga in the election runoff. This is a critical time in Colombia as the country negotiates the end of more than 50 years of armed conflict with FARC. CCTV's Michelle Begue has more.
More than 33 million Colombians were registered to vote on Sunday for the next four-year presidential term. More than 10,000 voting centers opened at 8 a.m. and will close at 4 p.m. Colombian time.
We hope
to have 99% of the votes counted by 11 p.m. and have results, as there is a lot of uncertainty about whether we will have a second round, and if so, who will be the candidates.
Officials expected a calm election day, as 200,000 soldiers were deployed around the country to make sure Colombians could vote in a peaceful environment. The two largest rebel groups, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, and the National Liberation Army, or ELN, promised a unilateral ceasefire so as not to disrupt the voting process. While the truce began on Monday, military officials accused FARC of not keeping its word.
In our reports, we have seen 4 attacks by the FARC to civilian populations with explosives, fortunately with no casualties. We, however, continue with our operations on the offensive.
The main issue this election is the ongoing peace talks started by President Juan Manuel Santos with the FARC rebel group. Santos' main rival, Oscar Ivan Zuluaga, opposes the negotiations and has suggested he could end them in favor of U.S.-backed military campaigns. But the question this Sunday is, can both of the leading candidates, Santos and Zuluaga, survive recent scandals in their campaigns? Angry voters who are tired of what they call dirty campaigning are calling for Colombians to check the blank vote and choose none of the candidates. If this option wins more than 50% of the vote, an immediate re-election is called with the same parties, however, all new candidates.
For the
last 150 hours, we have been calling for the blank vote with our drums in front of the National Registry. We are calling all citizens to understand the blank vote.
Pues primero que todo, conozcamos qué es el voto en blanco, por qué y para qué votar en blanco.
Polls have shown none of the 5 candidates running have enough votes to win in a first round, and support for the blank vote has grown from 5% in past elections to 30% in recent polls.
We already have results coming in, and it seems that Zuluaga and Santos will be facing off on June 15th.
Michelle, how much excitement has this election created? Did a lot of people show up to vote at the polls?
Well, it's very interesting. It seems like a lot of eyes are here on Colombia, especially because so much is at stake for the future, not just of Colombians, but of their peace process that is going on right now in Havana, Cuba, with the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, also known as FARC, the rebel group that they want to end 50 years of armed conflict. But it seems like not a lot of Colombians went out to vote today. Actually, there were 60% of the registered voters, of the 33 million Colombians that are registered to vote, didn't even show up to vote. It's very interesting, especially when Colombia has a mechanism to protest the candidates if they don't like them, which is the blank vote, as we saw earlier in this package. And the blank vote essentially didn't even get 6% of the vote in these preliminary counts that we're seeing.
All right, thank you so much, Michelle Begue, live in Bogota.